y'all. Welcome to another episode of Soccer for Us. I'm Bart, and on this episode, we are talking about the USA winning the three-game series against Japan, because it's always important to play a three-game series in soccer to make sure you know exactly how good you are compared to one specific team. But it was actually fun soccer to watch, and to talk about that with me is Brigette Swartwood from our Home Ground podcast. Yes, which of the three games against Japan did you think was the most USA Japan?
I actually feel like they were all so USA Japan in so many different ways, and I'm so excited to talk about all of them for all of the reasons. So thank you for having me back.
It's glad to have you back. Glad to have someone who I think we when this was announced, we were like, okay, I don't love playing three games against one team. But now that we've had it, it does actually give us a really good look at where things stand. And
I think so.
while again it is against a very specific team and a very specific type of team, it's not, I mean, Japan's pretty darn good. And we did get to see adjustments in game, adjustments game to game, and really get a good sample of what I think coming out of it going, dang, we might have a starting 11.
I think so too, and I think is this the first window where we've played the same team all three times?
I think so, because we've had a couple where we've played two of them at the same time, which is different.
Random. Yeah, but I think what I liked about this was I feel like this gave us a pretty clear insight into the way that Emma Hayes is thinking about this. I think it sort of affirmed some of the things that I had been thinking she was thinking, but wasn't really sure, because you're always like, well, maybe that was because of a specific opponent that she actually did that. But it's like, no, this is the same opponent. She's making these choices, and we can kind of understand, I think, a little bit more about the way she's thinking in ways that, I don't know, maybe I'm just trying to find a way to like it. I don't know. But if we're going to play a team three times, I'm happy that it was Japan. Yeah. I'll say that.
Yeah. Again, Japan is one of the few teams outside of Europe that we could play and know that this is a legitimate knockout round opponent. And look, we get to do it again in June, apparently, because we're playing Brazil back to back in Brazil, which is a whole nother thing that I'm actually glad they're doing. Yeah. We'll talk about that later. But you know, it did provide us with actual tangible takeaways, because I do think even when we talked about She Believes Cup, and while those are three pretty good teams, I don't think anyone can say they're not.
Right.
How much of each game was us trying to win it? Right. How much of it was a little bit of rotation? How much of it was experimenting? Whereas in this three-game series, we saw both, but we got to see, I think, 2 games of real, okay, let's see what this looks like, and then a final game of, okay, here we experimented, here are the results.
Here it
type
is.
Of thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's talk about the roster, the 26 players that were brought in, and I think let's put that to a side for a second and talk about the fact that it is confirmed that the World Cup next summer will be 26 players. So I don't know if Emma decided on 26 before that, or that just happened to be how this worked. But we do get 26 players at next summer's World Cup.
Yeah. Which is so good. I'm so happy about that.
I mean, it helps us out.
Right. It helps me not have to be so sad about people I love being left at home.
If anything, that's the biggest takeaway. But look, I mean, if we actually want equality in sports, then you should be able to bring the same amount of players for each
I think tournament. That's true. And I think also for player loading and stuff like that, if we're going to say that we care about player health and loading and all of these things, and then make it impossible for us to actually do that, then do we mean it? Is my question.
You should walk the walk instead of just talking the talk. Yeah. So that is a plus. So with that said, here are the 26 players who were called up. I think I'm interested to see if the number breakdown will be the same for when we do get to the World Cup, because I don't know if that's necessarily.
Yeah.
I don't know if every single position is like this is definitely who will be there, but it's interesting to see the breakdown of positions. So we had 3 goalkeepers: Jane Campbell, Claudia Dickey,
Mm-hmm.
Valentellis Joyce. Defenders, 9 of them, and I do think that is a lot. And I think when we
I
start talking
agree.
about takeaways, we might whittle that down a little bit. But
Uh-huh.
Tanner Davidson is back. That's the big one. Emily Fox,
I'm
Naomi
so
Girma,
happy.
Avery Patterson. Yeah. Yes. Lily Reel, Emily Sams, Emily Sonnet, Giselle
Mm-hmm.
Thompson, and Kennedy Wesley. And then in the midfield, we have Sam Coffey, Lindsay Heaps, Claire Hutton, Rose Lavelle, Olivia Moultrie, Jaden Shaw, Lily Johannes, and up top, Michelle Cooper back, Jamise
Mm-hmm.
Joseph, Trinity Rodman, Emma Sears, Ali Sintnor, Alyssa Thompson, and Sophia Wilson, officially back.
Yay! Also
Um,
so happy
who
about that.
has now officially scored, by the way, since her
Yes.
return. She did get that goal for Portland over the weekend. Did
Oh, and it
not
was
get a goal in this window. Spoiler
no, but
alert.
what a goal to come back with. Sorry. Are you kidding me? She's so good.
90 plus 5 or whatever, getting a game
Yeah.
winner. Yeah.
She's back,
That said,
baby.
that said so much to me more than just like she was playing 90 minutes, which I think
Yeah.
alone is like a signal that okay, yeah, she's fit. But
Yeah.
to be able to score a goal with such precision and power
Yeah.
in the last stages to me says,
Hmm.
oh, she's like actually back.
I actually think being back with the US women's national team, you over the 3 games, which we'll talk about, and that's a big point that I have, you could see her coming back. Like you just saw it in her, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, this is
Yeah.
so gorgeous. I love it so much.
That was literally going to be my point. I
Yeah.
felt like this Sophia Wilson's progress during this April camp basically was the way the US looked in all 3
Mm-hmm.
games, weirdly enough.
Mm-hmm.
Any of these position groups, let's start with the goalkeepers before we get into game by game stuff. Let's just talk with the goalkeepers. In this camp, we saw Claudia Dickey
Mm-hmm.
start the first and third game. We saw
Mm-hmm.
Fallon Joyce start the second game, which is different
Mm-hmm.
from what we
Mm-hmm.
saw in She Believes Cup. Now, just my opinion. First off, Jane Campbell, thanks for coming. I didn't expect her to play necessarily. I think
No,
she's in
I
that,
didn't.
hey, who's going to be the third goalkeeper thing,
Yeah.
which is fine.
Well, because I think we need to remember that Manny McGlynn has a hurt finger right now. She's out. She's unavailable. I think our goalkeeping, though I would argue the starting position I think is still quite open. I think the 3 core of who's going to go is assuming the recovery from the finger situation for Manny McGlynn goes well. I think the 3 core is
Yeah.
pretty established at this point.
I think this just signaled to me that Jane is in the mix.
Yeah, you're on the radar. She
Yeah.
hasn't forgotten about you.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
Dickey getting 2 starts, Tellis Joyce getting 1. Again, it flipped from She Believes Cup. I also want to just say I thought Dickey looked more composed
Mm-hmm.
and stronger in her starts. Now that said,
Mm-hmm.
she was playing with Naomi Girma in both
Correct.
games and Emily Fox in both games, and like
Yeah.
a midfield that was a little more stout.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know.
And I think also so much of being a goalkeeper, from what I've observed, I've never done it, but from what have observed, so much of it is like confidence and form related to the team that you're regularly playing with. And Man United is in a tough run of form at the moment. And
Yeah.
I do
Yeah.
think that is probably part of what's happening. And yeah, and it's weird to say, like, you're playing with the B team. Like, it's the US women's national team. They're phenomenal sort of regardless, but you're
Yeah.
playing with the players who have less chemistry, less experience together, less of all of that. That also, I just sometimes feel like that's not really a fair, like, assessment either.
Yeah, and I think that's a totally fair point to all of this. I just do think Dickey looked better.
She looked good. I thought Dickie looked great. I was really impressed. I was like, you know what? Good for you. Take your moment. Like, do it. And she did.
My takeaway would be that I think both look like good shot stoppers.
Mhm.
And to me, that is the number one job of a goalkeeper.
I
But
agree.
I will say, having played the position, there's a lot more to goalkeeping than just stopping shots, because in theory, that's the last thing you should be doing.
Sure.
It's the most important thing, but we don't want to be doing that a whole lot.
Right. Hopefully we don't get to that point.
I always joke, like, so I was also a lifeguard back in my younger days, and I'm like, all these skills I have, you don't want to actually have to use them. Like, right? Like you have a lot of other things you want to do before you use your lifeguarding skills.
Right.
So it's kind of that way as a goalkeeper. And I thought Dickie did all the other stuff, seemed to do all the other stuff, organizing defense, communicating, even passing, a lot better than Fallon did in this camp.
Yes, and I will also say I have a Fallon Tillers-Joyce bias. I love her. I think she's just like so cool. So I also will say, recognizing that bias, Fallon also played in the wet, rainy game, which as a goalkeeper seems like the worst position to be in during that situation. I do think that's part of the goal that ended up happening, which we'll probably get to. But like, I just think there were a lot of factors. But then Claudia Dickey played on a field that had literally had snow plowed off of it an hour before. So like, those aren't ideal circumstances either, you know? So not to say at all to take away from anything, but I just think there were a lot of factors not working in Fallon Tillers-Joyce's favor and a lot working in Claudia Dickey's. And those are just facts. And I right now would feel really happy with either one of them in goal. Like, I feel happy with both of them. I think we're in a good spot. I think there was I had a lot of like, apprehension, nervousness when Alyssa Nair retired of like, well, now what do we do? And I think we have answers that are perfectly satisfactory to me.
Yeah, I think it's tough to choose one, but I think the silver line to that is we two good goalkeepers.
Seems like a decent place to be, you know?
I don't want to get too deep into these discussions, but let's look at the defenders for a second and just take a moment to pause on Tierna Davidson coming back. Yes, she looked good in this camp, but I think it's just very important to say she's coming back from like an actual knee injury, not, I'll compare them when we get there, not pregnancy like Sophia Wilson, which is different. She had a little bit of a scary moment, but she looked scary moment from like an injury standpoint, but she looked good, and she has looked well. She looked better than she looked for Gotham this year, but I think part of that is Gotham is like doing their normal Gotham thing where they kind of suck during the regular season. Suck is
they're
harsh,
hustlers.
But you know what I'm saying.
Can't trust them. Right. Yes. No.
It's good to have her back.
They have a rough go. Yeah, it's so good to have her back. To have that left foot. She had a couple of long balls that I was just like, oh, it's so gorgeous. The way she can break lines. I think the combination of a healthy Tierna Davidson and a healthy Naomi Girma is potentially the best center back pairing in the world. Like, I'd be hard pressed to find a pairing that I would want more from like anyone anywhere. And when we saw the glimpses of the like beauty in it, it was great. And so I'm excited for her to be back, to keep working back to her full fitness and all of that, and confidence and trust in her body, right? Like you're saying, the knee injury, all of that has to come too. So I'm excited for her and for us.
Yeah. I also just want to point out, we saw like all the fullbacks this window in varying capacities. And I think that was a good thing to see again with the same opponent. And we'll get into that a little bit later, but I think that was just really good. Midfield was, I think, the one that I have the least, but also the most questions about. Least questions of like who should be in the midfield, because I think the 7 that were brought in, I think there are shouts for a couple of other players maybe, but I think the 7 that were brought in were the strongest we could. And I'm glad, again, we got to see all 7 of them play pretty much, get starts each. I thought we learned some things, but I do want to just caution major takeaways, because I think there's one position in particular where I think a player did play really well, but that was in this camp. Let's not get too crazy about a player who's been really good for this team for, I don't know, a couple of years now.
I super agree. And I also would like to say I think Emma Hayes is super cognizant of player loading and is working very closely with these people's club teams. And I would argue that had a lot to do with it. And Emma Hayes has said she wants to test the young people against high talent, see how they do, see what they do. She needs them to be in these situations. And if you don't test it, you don't know how they're going to react, because you don't want their first time to be in a World Cup semifinal, right?
Correct. Against Japan, right? Like, again, this is a team that
this high caliber opponent with the added pressure of the moment, like you want them to see it before so that they feel like they've been here before, they can do it.
Forward line, I think, was just dominated by the fact that Sophia Wilson is back. We'll obviously talk about her a lot. I don't really have anything else to say other than Sophia Wilson is back. I think you now have a double shot of espresso, not the triple espresso. I'm just going to go out on a limb and say I'm not concerned with the other shot, whether they come back or not, because as much as I love her, Mal has not. Who knows what she's doing?
And maybe she's
that's
just
great.
loving motherhood. And I think it was you that I said to before. I see her very much on like a Julie Ertz kind of trajectory of like,
and that's great.
I think she's gonna love being a mom. I bet she's the best mom, and that's amazing. And that can be okay. And we can love her and let her go if that's what she wants.
I think that is my biggest takeaway. Is I thought the forward line looked pretty good. Now I will critique it because in this camp we got no goals from forwards, and I think that is the lens through which I'm going to kind of look at a lot of this. But I don't necessarily want to say it was it wasn't for lack of trying. I'll just say that.
Sure. Yeah, I agree.
But that is, I think, the only real negative I could take from this camp was, hey, our forwards didn't score.
I hear you, and as we get into it, I feel like this camp, as I'm reflecting on it, one thing I took away was so much fluidity, which is what Emma Hayes was known for with her Chelsea team, where it's like, actually, who's even playing where? When you get to like the attacking midfield and forwards, there's so much interchange. There's so much happening. I think especially with Rose, you see Rose making some of those runs that you're used to like a 9 making, and you're like, hold on, like who's actually in the 9, right? So all of that to say, yes. And maybe that's a way that Emma Hayes wants to move as an option, right? I think, we still want our forwards to score, but like having the ability for anyone on the field to score depending on the situation is, I think, also what she would want.
Well, the first game we got 2 goals. So let's talk about that one. We had a 2-1 win to open up the series in San Jose, California. A little bit of a dreary day, but ended with the sun shining, 2-1 win. Again, we talk about, the forwards didn't score. But let's talk about this opening goal. It comes off a set piece. Sam Coffey, free kick, a very long free kick to the back post that Trinity Rodman, a forward, just redirects back into the mixer, if you want to use that terminology. And eventually Rose Lavelle just hammers it home, right? I mean, I think it was a pretty slow developing free kick, but you should tell me, we didn't get a goal from a attacker this camp, but here Rose Lavelle is getting on the end of a redirected header from Trinity Rodman. They're still involved.
Right. Yeah, they're there. And I think I felt like, though it was like the way it developed was weird. It was a super, I feel like, classic set piece to the back post, redirected back in, hit home. Like the fundamentals were there. The reality of how it actually like went about was weird. The way Rose struck it was kind of weird, but it worked. And people were in the right spaces, doing the right things, and it results in a goal. Like that's what you want.
Yeah. We get a 2-0 lead just after halftime. Lindsay Heaps gets on the end of a ball. It's a Giselle Thompson. We'll talk about her because I thought she was really good. Giselle Thompson wins the ball in Japan's defensive third. Gives it to Alyssa Thompson, who then sees Lavelle making a run. It's like really good example of with the ball, get into attack. it kind of bounces around again a little bit, like a couple of like hockey
Mm-hmm.
kind of just
Mm-hmm.
puck is going back and forth. Eventually, she just passes it over to Heaps, who curls it into the
Left
bottom left
foot.
corner. Yeah.
Oh, it was gorgeous. I was like, and I I'll die on the Lindsay Heaps hill. I'll do it.
Same, same,
I
same.
think this camp, well, I mean, we'll get to that at the end because I want to talk about whose stock I think rose the most. And I have a couple of people, but this is why you have Lindsay Heaps on the field, because she does stuff like this regularly. She's a threat always. If she's on the field, she's a threat. And I just
Mhm.
think the way that she organized the midfield, like I thought she was great.
Um, Japan does get one back. Ryo Oyeki gets a really nice goal. I mean, again, Japan is good. Um,
Nice goal if you like to start in an offside position. I'm just
well,
saying.
okay.
No, I think
It,
it definitely
yes.
identified that our defense was not organized enough. Right? Like there are legitimate things that I think that goal was important for, because it allowed us to highlight that there were a few weaknesses, and that's a clear way to highlight that. She was, in my opinion, she was offside. There's no VAR. Fine. Like I'm not that worried about it,
Yeah.
but in a World Cup, we wouldn't have to worry about that.
Yeah. And look, Japan had more shots than us, which is
Yeah.
weird to say, but like they weren't super quality shots. We definitely had
Mm-mm.
more possession.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and overall, it was like, yeah, they were going to get a goal probably from this type of a
Sure.
game.
Right.
Um, Shutting Japan out is hard. I just want, like, I
Mm-hmm.
think that's something that I want to continually tell people.
Yep.
A lot of folks who, it comes from both sides, which is weird. A lot of folks
Mm-hmm.
who have been around this team for a while think
Mm-hmm.
every game's going to be 5-0, right?
Yeah.
And that's just not the case in, I think, international soccer period right now.
I
But
agree.
Japan especially is a supremely talented team, one of the most
Mm-hmm.
organized teams on the
Mm-hmm.
planet, with individual talent at every single
Mm-hmm.
position, especially in this game when this was ones versus ones in this game, in my
Yeah.
opinion, for the most part. And I mean, Ueki gets her goal, and it's like, well, yeah,
Yep.
she's one of the
Of course.
best in the
Right.
world right now. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I know, I get that she's not European, so you're not actually allowed to say that about her, but she is one of the best in the world. And they have a lot of other players at every other position that are pretty darn good. So shutting them out is tough. And they got their goal. It was, as you
Mm-hmm.
said, I mean, and I agree, was she on side? Probably not, but
Right.
it is tough to keep a
Mm-hmm.
team like this
Sure.
who
Certainly.
can so quickly spark an attack.
Yes.
If you're not organized 100% all the time,
Yep.
you're going to give up a goal. And that's
Yep.
the lesson you learn here.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think, yeah, there were vulnerabilities in our defense, and I think that's okay. And it's good to see holes poked in that vulnerability so that we can then fix that, right? Like those things are important too. And yeah, probably was she offside, fine. And I think it was Emily Fox, potentially. Somebody had like cleared it with their head and they were like
Yeah.
fixing their hair and they didn't hold the high line.
Yep.
And if they would
Yep.
have held the high line, then right, like these things, they happen and we need them to happen now so that we can correct versus happening in
Yep.
more important situations.
So this starting 11, I think again was what I felt like was Emma saying this is what I think is the strongest 11, maybe after the initial days of training camp.
What I think we haven't mentioned in this that I found really interesting about this game was Sonnet was unavailable and Tierna Davidson were both unavailable in this
Yes.
first game. Because I have this question mark about Kennedy Wesley starting. Thought she did well overall. Thought she looked strong. But I was like, what? Sonnet and Tierna were both not available.
Yeah.
And then were both then available the rest of camp. So I don't know if this was just like hey, I'm not going to use you, so we're not going to waste a
Yeah.
bench spot on you, or what the sort of plan here was. But I thought that was interesting. And I think was a tactical choice based on their availability the rest of the camp and the amount of minutes that they played in the other games. Like I think with Tierna, she was like, yeah, you're not playing this game. We only, what did we get, 45 minutes the one game and then half an hour from in the other, but like from Tierna. So yeah, like you're not playing this game, so I'm not going to put you on the bench. And then Sonnet, I have other people that I want to try over you, so we'll let you have this as like a...
Yeah, Sonnet had some sort of an injury, they said. It didn't seem like it was anything serious, but...
just like a just in case, we're going to not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought this game was interesting because we had a little bit of an imbalance on the back line at a lot of times where when our fullback from either side, but mostly this was Giselle Thompson, was like really high.
Yeah.
And Wesley and Gurma weren't shifted over to kind of balance out the back line. And
we weren't sort of
to the
shifting
point where
that,
it almost
like,
looked
three
intentional.
back shape. Yeah.
Yeah.
We weren't, because oftentimes, right, like when Emily Fox is on the back line, we can shift into that sort of like three back, let the other side go up, do the thing. But if we're not shifting, then that leaves us super vulnerable, and you gotta know that and either say, yeah, we want them to attack there because we actually have a plan, which seems a bit risky to me, but I'm not the coach, or we need to be aware that like, hey, we got to shift better.
Yeah, so that would be my knock on Kennedy Wesley on this game was I don't know exactly what the goal was there, but it was very clear that like we were imbalanced and it was from the left side. We either weren't shifting well enough. Japan was attacking that space a lot, so Wesley was under pressure a lot. She is a very young player. I think I'm with you. She's pretty darn good, but in terms of being a USWNT and a professional, she's still in the younger side of her career, and I don't think she all the time did a good enough job of dealing with it.
Yeah,
but again, learning opportunities.
For sure.
So that was the first game. We get a 2-1 win. I think it's important to just, again, Roosevelt gets a goal and an assist.
On her 100th start of her career.
Yes.
Just love her. Fellow Midwestern gal.
Yes. A girl from Cincinnati. Yeah.
Yeah. She's just a girl from Cincinnati.
But it is, again, I think we are seeing... I don't know if you remember both at the end of the 2019 cycle, specifically in that World Cup, but then very much throughout the entire 2023 cycle. And a lot of this is because, Vlatko seemed to have not been the coach that was right for the job. Rose and Lindsay did not work together in the midfield. Now, I would posit that some of that was because, especially during the 2023 cycle, I don't think we had a good enough like defensive midfielder to allow them to do what they wanted to do, which we have a plethora of now. But
we do.
They looked good together, and it looked balanced.
Yeah, and I think
in this game especially.
Yeah, I think that's one of the major challenges, and I think Emma has talked about this a little bit. Other coaches of national teams have talked about it too. Like, you have all of the best players in the world, and you have to figure out how to make them work well together, right? Like, we know that they're all individually brilliant, but how can you put together a team that works together? And how can you create a system that works with those players that you have? And I think Emma has done a fantastic job of figuring out how to get Lindsay back to this, like, Lindsay, you were and are again are like 8-ish. You're the box to boxer. Like, you have to be willing to do that, and we will give. And then in this system, there will be opportunity then for you to also attack. We just you have to buy into what's happening, and I think a lot of it gets back to, I think these players have completely bought in to what Emma Hayes is saying. She's been super intentional about that because of the speed with which she was brought in, and then they had the Olympics. There had to be this quick trust building buy-in, and I think that Lindsay led the charge on that and just said, like, I'm going to trust you and we're going to go with it, and I'll be the one who leads our team to do that. And I think that we're seeing that come to fruition on the field in these ways where it's like, I'll trust the system and the process. And then, Lindsay, you're scoring goals again. You're like doing all the things, and not because you have to and you have these individual moments of brilliance, but because the team is working well together such that you end up in those kinds of positions where you're the right person.
Yeah, I think that is a great way to kind of just summarize what we're seeing now. And credit to Emma. Sometimes having a good coach in charge means you get good outcomes.
Yeah. When your players want to play for you and they trust you, like, you get the best out of everyone, right?
Yes. I think that's a good way to kind of talk about the second game because I
Yeah.
think this was very much Emma saying, okay, we saw the ones, which for the most part was a very senior squad.
Yep.
Um, the second game was what I would definitely say was the backups in almost
Hmm.
every position. In fact, yeah, I would say every position was a backup.
Yeah.
Um, outside of maybe, and we'll get to it, maybe Sonnet. But
Yeah.
like even then, I think at this point she's probably a
Mhm.
backup. But we had
Or she's like
Valentella's choice in
working her
goal.
way. She's working her way back
Yeah,
there, right? As Tierna,
yeah,
they're like inverse, like as
yeah,
Tierna's time comes up, Sonnet's is gonna come down.
yeah. Fallon Tullis, Joyce in goal, Avery
Hmm.
Patterson on the right, Sams and Sonnet in the midfield, Lily Reel on the left,
Hmm.
Hutton, Johanna, Shaw in the midfield, and then Moultrie in the midfield a little bit, but the
Yeah.
attacking three was Moultrie, Centnor, Sears.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say this from the bat: I don't like Sears on the left. I do
I
not
don't
think
either.
it suits her well. There were multiple
Mm-mm.
times that she got in on goal like a classic
Yeah.
Emma Sears. We're gonna
Yeah.
run down that flank and run at a defender, and it is scary as all get out.
I love it so much.
And part of this is, hey girl, you should probably have a left foot that's a little stronger, but you could
Well,
tell that like she's just not
yeah.
as comfortable.
Yeah.
Especially coming off that left side. And I
Right.
just want to say, if she was playing on the right, I think we would
Mhm.
have had a goal at least from her in this game.
I think so too. And I think it's because she shoots with her left foot when she's coming in from the right. But again, I think you're talking about
It's
it's
just
the
different for
angle
some reason.
from which she's
Yeah.
shooting. Yeah, she didn't her shots didn't have the kind of confidence behind them that they do when she's on the right. I
I mean,
think.
she can thump a
Oh,
like
she's
when she hits the ball, it's like holy crap!
yeah.
Get out
Yeah.
of get out of the way. You're gonna get your head taken off.
Mhm.
She
But
blasts it.
yeah. And I think the Shaw Moultrie, like you were talking about, I think there was some like interchange, a lot of like
Mm-hmm.
fluidity going on there, which I think is a classic of the Emma Hayes that I've watched over the past several years, and
Yep.
really hard to defend because you can't get used to like one specific player's runs that they're making or whatever if they're always like switching and moving, and it's confusing for defenders. And so I actually like Shaw and Moultrie together on the field. I think they're a good pairing together. Their
Mm-hmm.
creativity, I think, like complements each other. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
sometimes when we've seen, and I think this is also improving as there's more chemistry and more, but sometimes when like Shaw and Lindsay Heaps are on the field together, there's like a little bit of confusion, it feels like almost sometimes about like who's going where and what are we doing.
Yeah.
Whereas it seemed much more fluid with Moultrie and Shaw. So I liked it. I liked those two and their interchange and what was going on there.
I would say that while yes, the team did not win this game, and we did get shut out. I think that was. I don't think it was concerning. And again, this is where a lot of people see, oh, the U.S. lost, especially people who are across the pond and who think that,
Sure.
a lot of things. Oh, they lost. Well,
right,
yeah,
to another
we did lose.
top 5 opponent also.
Yeah.
Let's keep that in mind.
Also. But also, like, I felt like we were very in control of this game.
Yeah.
Japan's goal was not one that I would say is like...
No.
I don't want to say it's not replicable, because it is. But it's not one that I'm going to think that we're going to concede a lot of, because
no, that was
it
unfortunate.
it comes off of a bad turnover leading to someone like 4 players in a row just not winning an individual battle.
Yep. And then Lily Reel, the last one, she got beat on the cut, and I was like, oh. And then I said this earlier, Fallon, with the wet gloves, she gets like 2 fingers on it, but it just like
couldn't get her.
Like it just with all the water. I think 9 times out of 10, Fallon saving that. I think it was just an unfortunate. Yeah. And I actually think there was a player directly in front of her too, so she couldn't see it until late, right? Like I think it was sort of like a calamity of errors that happened here that led to that goal. Maika Hamano for Japan, she's a fantastic player. She's on loan at Tottenham right now from Chelsea. She's great, beautiful goal. And like you're saying, I think 19 out of 20 times we don't concede that goal.
Yeah.
Like
it was like, damn, really? That
sucked. It's like, oh, boo. Like,
yeah. It really was a little bit of a letdown, because I think despite sputtering in the attacking third.
Mm-hmm.
And again, having some chances that just
Mm-hmm.
like didn't feel super confident. And again, wet pitch
Yeah.
in the rain of Seattle
Mm-hmm.
maybe had something to do with it. But I just watched this game back and I'm like, we looked fine,
Yeah.
given we were not playing our best of the
Mm-hmm.
best. And to me, that's a signal that these are players who, well, no, this is not a lineup that Emma's going to put out in a World
Mm-mm.
Cup,
Mm-mm.
right? But every one of these players that was out there to me proved that, okay, if you have to start a World Cup match,
Mm-hmm. You'll
we're
be all
good.
right. We'll be all right. Yeah.
We'll be fine.
I think I meant to mention this at the beginning. Hutton as captain, I think,
Oh, we
is
didn't mention that. Yes.
interesting. Yeah, 20, youngest captain in the modern era. Interesting to me that she was captain over Sonnet. I actually wonder if Sonnet was like, I don't want it. It wouldn't surprise me if that was the case, is what I'll say.
I think some of it seemed to be Emma very intentionally saying, I want Claire to be captain.
Yeah.
And I think Emily Sonnet's a big enough person to be like, yeah, I
like,
get it.
Great. Like, I think she gives very much the like Lucy Bronze kind of attitude where it's like, I know my place and I know what I have to offer here. I don't need the armband on to like know that.
She's gonna probably yell at you for some reason sometime.
Yeah, right.
So
she's like,
you'll
it's
be
not
fine.
going to change the way I act no matter what. So no, and so I think that's worth noting. And then we ended the game with Sophia Wilson, Ali Sentnor, Jamise Joseph, and Trinity Rodman all on the pitch. And I think the idea was that like Ali was dropping into the 10, but then like you've got 2 9s on, and then Trinity, who like also likes to be a little individual, like when we need a goal, they're all going to try to do something individually. Like it's not going to be this sort of like team chemistry kind of goal that we get at the end that we all really want. It's going to be like an individual moment of brilliance. And I think having like 1 player like that or 2 like that is good, but like 4 felt a little bit like it was like giving desperation in a way that I don't feel like we often get from the US women's national team. And I maybe Emma, again, maybe she was just trying to try stuff out. What do they do when their backs are to the walls? Like, how can they? I don't know, but I just thought that was interesting because originally I was like, well, with those 4 on, how do we not score a goal? And then I was like, well, actually, probably because none of them are traditional like assisters or what, like they're goal scorers.
Yeah.
So who's going to be providing the assists? Who's going to be setting it up? Who's going to be doing that? Like
Trinity is very good, I think, at getting assists, but she's not the type. She needs a player who's still going to be able to play her through. And if all of them are like, well, I got the ball, I'm dribbling at 17 players.
Right.
Like I think part of that is the strength of the U.S. national team, where we can have a numbers disadvantage in attack and still create an opportunity, right? Like that is something that with all of those players you mentioned, and even the players that we had to start. Like, I mean, again, I mentioned Emma Sears. If she's got the ball running at you, I don't care if it's 1v5. I like her chances.
Yeah,
you know?
me too. Right, absolutely. I do too, and I'm back.
But to your point, like, well, yeah, Sophia Wilson, Ali Sentnor, like, they're not gonna be the player who's like, okay, let me find the through ball that unlocks it just and I'm with you.
I'm not saying they couldn't be, but that's like a development that we're going to need to have. Like, I think of like Alessia Russo, who has learned how to do this and has started playing the 10 more and is fantastic at it. But she's very clear, like when I play the 10 versus when I play the 9, it's a completely different mindset. And it's like, is Ali Sentnor at this point in her career able to make that mindset switch mid-game when you're losing, backs against the wall? Maybe not, but maybe that's what Emma's pushing her to do. I don't know.
Not the worst thing to try to have a player learn.
No, I don't think so at all.
I watched this game back. Even when I watched it at the beginning, and like when I first watched, I was like, yeah, it sucks we lost. I didn't feel bad about it.
No, I agree.
I still feel that way. Moving on. Last game of the series. I think this was the, for the most part, hey, okay. 10 of the 11 starting spots were because they performed better this camp. My hot take is I think Claire Hutton got the start because she proved the most this camp.
I think so too.
And earned it. Not saying Sam lost it by any stretch. I think it was, Claire, you earned it. Now, part of it also could be, Sam, you got to fly back to England. If we don't have to play you, I'm not going to.
Yeah.
But I thought Claire earned it.
Yeah. No, I think Sam and Claire are both fantastic options to have there. And I think having two great defensive midfielders, where if we play a team where we feel like we need a double pivot, having both of them comfortable with minutes under their
Yes.
belt, ready to defend to the death, essentially. Like I like it. I really like Claire Hutton. I do think that she and Sam Coffey offer something a little bit different
They do.
in
They
ways
do.
that are good to have both options. I don't at all think that because Claire Hutton started, that means Sam Coffey has lost her starting position. I don't think that's true at all.
No.
I do think she had big games coming back up for club. She had a FA Cup game to get to. Again, I think Emma is cognizant of these kinds of things. What does the team need right now? What do these individual players need? Sam still played 30 minutes. She came on in like the 63rd minute. So like she still played. She still did well. And that was probably best for her in that moment and like for what she needs as an individual and as a player who's not only a U.S. women's national team player.
Yeah. To kind of counter that, like Emily Fox and Lindsay Heaps, the other two kind of Europeans in this lineup. And I guess Alyssa, but those two didn't have really anything going on. Foxy didn't have anything until the Champions League match over the weekend.
In which she was playing Lindsay.
Lindsay Heaps had a game on like the week after and then had the Champions League. So like they did not have anything coming up on that next weekend.
Right.
And so same with Alyssa Thompson, who didn't have anything that like ensuing weekend. So again, it just makes sense that we don't need to put you in the lineup if we don't have to. And obviously for the NWSL ladies, like, well, you're traveling to wherever. The travel load is not as bad.
Right.
So we're not worried about that. But again, I think I want to position this as this was probably what, after looking at both games, Emma said, this is the best 11 from this camp right now.
Which I agree. I think the person I'm always most impressed with is Emily Fox. Her work rate, her recovery runs, her positioning, like it's always top notch. She's making recovery runs on behalf of other people who can't make said recovery run. She is unbelievable. I think she is one of the most underrated players in the world right now. I think she is fantastic. So there's my Emily Fox soapbox that I will now hop off of. I think the player whose stock for me rose the most throughout this camp and answered the most questions is Giselle Thompson. I thought she did
a bajillion percent
very, very, very well. I was super impressed. I think I had a lot of questions about how she would actually defend against a really high level side. Yeah, she can defend against some of these like lower level competition that we play regularly. Like how can she step up against these biggest teams? And I think she did really well. She had a couple of really impressive recovery runs also where she got the foot in right where it needed to be, executed perfectly, like, and then was positive in the attack. Again, I think there are some questions. The first game with her and Kennedy Wesley about like, how are we covering? What's the defensive structure? But again, I think that's more of a chemistry thing than anything else. They don't play together that often. And when you have the experience of Tierna Davidson next to you, she tells you where you need to be. You do it. You follow her. So this starting 11, I love overall.
And to build on that, Kennedy and Giselle looked fine in the second half of this game because Kennedy came in for Tierna Davidson. So again, we saw Dickey in goal behind the Davidson-Gurma pairing, which I think we all agree is probably like the pairing at this point in time.
Yeah.
Fox on the right, Thompson on the left. That just feels like at this point in time the best back line.
I think so.
Midfield, weird. I mean, depending on how you want to look at it, the midfield was Heaps, Hutton, Lavelle, and your attacking three was, Rodman, Wilson, Thompson. Like
gorgeous.
Like that's just the strongest 11 we have to put out here.
Yeah.
And it took a little bit of time.
Yeah, Japan put out their strongest.
We got the
11
goal.
Too. Yeah, right.
I mean, that's the thing, right?
Put out their strongest 11 too. Japan is still as good as they are. And remember when we played Japan at the Olympics, right? It was like a goal in extra time. Like it takes a long time, or it can take a long time to break down a team like Japan. I think the third time we're playing them, the breakdown happens, I would argue, a little bit faster. Granted, still took to the second half, but like it's. We have the things. I was never worried in this game. This game felt incredibly dominant. Even in the first half when we weren't scoring, I just felt I was not worried.
The first half we didn't score. It was frustrating because I
Mhm.
felt like there were one or
Yeah.
two that probably should have scored.
Mhm.
First off,
Mhm.
I forget who hit I think Hutton hit the post or hit the crossbar.
Yeah,
Um,
crossbar ricocheted right
yeah.
off it.
So we had that on top of like just other times that it was like
Yeah.
you just thought someone was going to find the back of the net and it just
Yeah,
didn't happen, which
yeah,
again, it can happen.
happened. And Sophia Wilson, I think, looked so much better from the jump this time.
Yeah.
What I had thought the first game was like, I feel like she's still finding her legs, she's still finding her confidence, she's still
Yeah.
second game she was taking shots like she used to take. Maybe
Yep.
they weren't quite at the caliber quite yet, fine, but she looked back. Her like confidence level seemed back where she's taking the shots.
Yeah.
She looked a little bit hesitant in the earlier game, especially the first game, but she grew back to where she wanted to be. She had a couple of good opportunities. And I thought the defending that Japan was doing looked desperate. Like it was desperate defending that was like last ditch tackles that were blocking shots. They were like throwing their bodies around. It wasn't the sort of like organized defense where they're like stopping us. It was like, holy
We
crap.
disorganized them a lot. Yes.
Yeah.
Which is how you know you're beating a Japan team.
Yep.
It's because they are so good at recovering into their organization, and but most importantly, they're very good at like not getting disorganized. But they're very good at that recovery defense as well. But like this was just very different. And again, look, Japan is. And I have to keep saying this because I think people just don't ever want to admit it. Japan's very good.
Very good.
Very good. People forget
good.
that in 2023 they beat Spain 4-0 in the group stage.
4-0. No, that was great.
Spain went on to win the World Cup.
Won the World Cup after losing a game 4-0.
Yeah. Japan is very good. It takes a lot to beat Japan because they're always clicked on.
Yep.
But the fact that we dominated possession, dominated the chance creation, and just again for that first half couldn't quite get that either the final pass or that final touch to be what we needed. It's like, well, in a friendly in April with some of our players still coming back, I mean, I think to be maybe a little harsh on a player, I think Trinity Rodman probably looked the least like, where are you? Or at least good, I should say. I had a lot of times where I was like, Trin, what are you doing? She's still getting back to whatever she was before this back injury. And I think we all have to remember injuries are weird because, yes, Tanner's coming back from an ACL tear. That is a very catastrophic injury that affects you right then and there, and it just takes a long time to get back. But you do have the ability to get back to where you were pretty much. But you do kind of have to start from like zero, basically.
Right.
The back injury that Trinity is dealing with is not a okay, I'm healed type injury like your ACL tear, right? It is a constant management situation, it feels like.
And could be re-aggravated at like any moment, right? The muscle injuries, you're constantly using those muscles. It's like hamstring injuries or something. Like it could always be triggered by like the tiniest little thing. And that thought and like the lack of trust in your body and not knowing and all of like you can see those things coming through. And I think in a way, and I think this is what we were alluding to earlier with the difference between like return from pregnancy is like, that's a ridiculous thing that a woman's body can do, like grow a whole human and like push out a human and all of that. Yes. And your body never betrayed you in a way it feels like your body does when you get injured.
Oh, I had a baby. That's a perfectly natural thing that people do all the time, everywhere. And there's some body trauma that goes on to it, but you heal, you know, you get back, you have a timeline.
Your abs recover, you do the things. Yes. Yeah. But trying to like trust your knee again or trying to trust your back again or those kinds of things, it's just I think psychologically, it's an incredibly different process. That each have their own sort of difficulties, certainly, but like different.
So I just want to say that about Trinity because it's understandable why she's not there yet. But I think Emma understands that she's got to keep putting her out there so that, as you said, she can build that trust back with her team.
And I think being back in season will speed, hopefully, like
Yeah.
speed exponential. I really believe she's on the up. She's on her way. She'll be back. She needs like 2 bangers, and she'll be the Trinity Rodman that we've always known her to be.
But we did end up putting 3 goals past Japan, which I think again is something impressive.
And our center backs were the star of the show.
Yeah, the first one is a goal from Naomi Girma off of an assist from Kennedy Wesley. So
it was so good.
Set piece scoring is something that I've been hoping we would get back to, and look, we did it a couple times this camp. I'm happy with it.
Yes. Oh, that was so good. Again, talk about classic clinical set piece to the back post. Kenny Wesley gets it back in, drops right to Naomi Girma's feet, right in the back of the net. Like, couldn't be more clinical. It was so well executed. I was so happy for them.
Watching the team celebrate Naomi's goal, they're
Everyone
just so
loves
excited
when
for her.
Naomi scores.
Yeah. About 9 minutes later, Kennedy Wesley, again, very instrumental in a goal. She intercepts a pass, and this is, again, a perfect example of what I think Emma Hayes wants this team to do, of recover the ball, and you get going forward. Wesley gets the ball. She quickly plays it to Heaps, who, like, not in the Lindsay Heaps at PSG or at Lyon fashion. She goes, all right, let's go.
She's
she quickly gets the ball out. Right. Yeah. We're running. And it's nice when Heaps can send it to people who can run. So she sends it forward to Trinity Rodman, who then, I mean, you talked about those. Oh, the striker didn't score. Well, Rose Lavelle's making a striker's run in this case.
Exactly.
Straight down the middle of the 2 defenders. And it works perfectly because Sophia Wilson has kind of taken that, the focus, and Rose is able to split them.
Right. Sophia Wilson made the perfect run, right? She did exactly what she's supposed to do. She knows she's not getting the ball. That is the most unselfish run you can make. You know that you're not getting the ball. Roosevelt is going to goal, but what you have to do is you have to make the run so that the defender makes sure you're not an option.
And something that this goal also, again, kind of showed was this is what it looks like when the ones get going, because these passes were very we talked about that word trust. These were the, maybe not trust, but look, my job is to make this pass.
Yep.
And sometimes I think sometimes a lot of younger players, they're scared to make the pass if they're not sure a player is going to be there.
Yeah.
Part of this, I think 50% is knowing my job is to make that pass.
Yep.
Someone else's job is to get there. But the other half is knowing someone's going to get there. Because not that Trin didn't see Rose, but like Trin's like, I got to put this ball here.
Yep.
And Rose says, well, someone's got to get there. And I guess it's going to be this pale person.
And little old me, I'll be there. Exactly.
Then she just,
Yeah, you see, these are the kinds of things that you see with these relationships of, they've done this so many times. They know, they trust whoever it is who's making that run is going to be on the end of that ball. Like, they know, they are experienced enough players, and they trust that the other players out there with them are also experienced enough to know that I'm getting the ball here, I'm putting it there, you'll be there, done and done. Like, easy enough.
Did this goal remind you of anything? Maybe a certain final, like 7 years ago?
It did. It
brought
good. Nobody fell to their knees, though. So, like, what was I supposed to do?
Well, it's not a World Cup final, but it did. It just felt like, oh, this is what it looks like when the U.S. Because I think so many times people, and by people I mean people who are from across the Atlantic, characterize the U.S. as being big, strong, brute force type players. And I would say, we are. You jealous?
Right. Correct.
But when we were cooking in 2019 and 2015, but especially 2019, it was skill. And it's the skill combined with, I mean, look, Rose is, no shade at Rose. She is not the person you think of as being the fastest or most, like, athletic person until you go, oh, wait, no, she is fast.
Right.
She's
Like,
one of the fastest on the team,
yeah.
weirdly enough. I mean,
Yeah.
and you just don't think of her that because you have Alyssa Thompson, Sophia
Right.
Wilson, Emily Fox, even, Trinity
Yeah. Oh
Rodman.
my God. Yeah. And it's funny. You ask Emily Sonnet if Roosevelt's fast. She says, yeah, she's fast. And somehow she gets the ball at her feet and she becomes faster.
Yeah,
She's like,
right.
she's one of those players where it's like when she is on a tear, there's no stopping her. Like,
Yeah.
you can't. And I think if we can keep an informed Rose Lavelle, Lindsay Heaps, and then one of our strikers and carry that into the US or into the
Yeah.
World Cup, there is
I
no
mean,
stopping us.
I think that's the thing that separates the US from a lot of other nations.
Mm.
And I think the only other nation that comes close, and this is not a shade at Spain, so I'm not, I love to throw shade at them. This is not the shade I'm throwing. Only the US and England have this ability where you need one or two players to be on, and you could win a tournament, right?
Correct.
England, if Alessia Russo's on,
Alessia is on, and whoever's playing the 10, and usually it's her best friend Ella Toon. If those two are on, and by God, don't let Georgia Stanway get going because then you're really, really in trouble. But yeah, and I think the US is similar in that way where it's like if we can have the chemistry of these 2 or 3 people and they're all in form and they're all going, it's Spain, their style doesn't work that way. The tiki-taka, you need more than 3 people.
That's my point, right?
It's it's not any shade to them. It's just that's not how they play.
Right.
So you need all 7 at least of you who have touched the ball in the last 17 seconds
when
to be in form.
Putellas or Bonmati are in form, they're not it's beautiful to watch, but it's not this type of inform. It's not damn, they just somehow scored a goal every game.
If Alexia Putellas dribbled 35 yards with the ball, I'd be like, what is she doing?
What is going on?
That's just not what they do. That's not their style. And so it wouldn't be like, oh yeah, there she is. Like we feel when we see Rose Lavelle do it. We're like, oh, let her go, let her go.
It was beautiful to see. And I think we cap it off with a really good goal. 63rd minute, we get a Kennedy Wesley goal, her first goal for the U.S. women's national team. Jaden Shaw with another corner kick. Look, 3 corner kick goals. Is now okay. Japan maybe not quite the height advantage the U.S. has. I don't even think the U.S. has a height advantage much anymore, but we capitalized on it this time around.
Not since our power tower's gone.
I know, but we do have Tanner Davison back, and I think she does have some height and actual
Lindsay Heaps noggin. Don't let her get going.
Yeah, so if you do have Heaps in the penalty area, she's always a target on a set piece
for sure.
But Kennedy Wesley does add a little bit of actual height to this team, and I think we kind of see that here. Jaden Shaw, corner kick right to the box. Kennedy Wesley's there. And she doesn't have to head it. She just says, all right, here we go.
And I love a debut goal. They're just, there's so much pure joy. I think a center back is always so happy when they score because that's just not what they usually do. And a debut, it was it was magic. Right. Oh, sweet Becky.
It was just beautiful to see also because I think personally, I was down on Kennedy after the first game. She just didn't play as well as I think we had hoped.
Sure.
If that's fair.
Yeah.
Getting the goal this game after coming in at halftime, which again, there were other players who could have been subbed in. You could have put in Sonnet. You could have put in Sams. Those two, I think, are pretty darn good center back options.
I agree.
You put in Wesley.
Yep.
She gets her goal and keeps a shutout. Good for her.
Yeah. I was very happy with her. Interestingly, we made 10 changes, substitutions. And so did Japan.
Yeah.
Both teams made 10 subs. I will note, just because I have to, because I am who I am, Emily Fox is the only player who didn't get subbed because she's a queen. No, but I just think I don't know. At that point, we did the first, other than, of course, the center back situation.
Yeah.
The first subs were at the 63rd minute. We're already up 2 goals, made a handful of subs. Then again, the 73rd and 82nd, 3rd-ish minute. But Emma Hayes wants to see people against these teams. She wants to see them again and again as much as she can. And I really appreciate it and think it's important. And I do think we learned a lot.
Yeah, Kumagai was the only one from Japan, and their goalkeeper was the only one from Japan to get subbed out.
Well,
So
goalies stayed, but outfield players, it was their one of their
I think it's. I think that's a good point, though. They did change some of the rules around international matches, which I think, for me, is like, for a friendly, why do we have a limit on subs? It's always been my kind of thing with a friendly. Is like, for multiple reasons, I don't care. But I think, to your point, it's very important for me that we score our goals with our 11 out there. Like, the only real change was Kennedy Wesley coming in for Davidson, and that was Davidson got she fell down in a defensive action. Kind of looked like she may have done something to her ankle or leg. Ends up she just kind of banged her head on the ground and was down for a good bit, right? Yeah. And I think that was just Emma going, we don't need to keep her out there.
I also wonder if that was a planned sub, right? She played 30 minutes in the second game. Then it would rationally make sense to play 45, right? We usually see the like 15-minute-ish increments of like getting legs back. I think she's been playing. Actually, I don't know what her time with Gotham, like how much she's been playing. But I don't think she, before this camp, had done a full 90 with them. So I would have been like shocked if she did that. But I think.
I don't know if I think she was going to be subbed out.
Yeah, but maybe at the like 60, 65-ish time frame.
I don't know.
But certainly don't know. But I don't think I actually hate backline changes. They make me so nervous because I just think, again, chemistry is so important in the backline. So I don't love a halftime change of the backline. But I actually do think if you're going to do it, I prefer a halftime versus a like 65th minute. But that's because I'm nervous. That's all.
Look, we got 2 wins. We gave up only 2 goals the entire time, and again, one of those I think we both agree is like, man, everything had to go wrong.
Right.
I think when you look at this both front to back, you go, okay, offense, shutout in one game, a little bit weird, I think it's fair to say, but you get 5 goals. It feels really good. Again, Japan is a top 5 team in the world.
Yeah.
Your ones beat their ones both games you played them.
Yep.
And it's hard to not feel really positive about this team.
I agree.
With about a year and 4 months before a World Cup.
No, I think when I was watching these games, and I started feeling it a little bit in the last camp, and then this camp, I was like, oh, like we're back. Like we are so back.
Yeah.
Like it just felt the like aura. And I don't know what other word to use, and I know that's a very trendy word right now, but like it feels like the aura of the U.S. women's national team was back. It feels like for the past couple of years, we've been like grasping at it a little to be like, no, like no, we're still the U.S. women's national team. Like nobody forget. But like this camp, it felt like no. We're the freaking U.S.
They think that because Spain won a World Cup and we still, by the way, made the knockout rounds of the World Cup. Go talk to Germany and Brazil. Go home about but okay, like I think we can all acknowledge Japan, good. Well, we being people who actually watch Japan, good. Spain and England, yep, okay, they're great. We can acknowledge that.
I would note Spain lost to England this same international window.
You're not allowed to say bad things about the Spanish women's national team or the Barcelona women's team on social media. Otherwise, I don't know, an entire country comes after you. I don't understand this at all. I have been an OG hater, and it's only purely because everyone loves them, and I respect them. I have to always say that.
No, yes,
but
and they're incredible.
I'm gonna be a hater.
They are great. They are great. That is. You can't argue with the greatness.
Nope.
And y'all are babies on the scene. I'll say it. Like you guys showed up here. This was your first Olympics in the year of 2020, whatever.
Yep. 4. Yep.
Like, y'all are babies here. You're doing great. You really splashed on the scene, but like you're babies here. We've been doing this, like.
Question continues to be for Spain. What happens when this generation of the Barca Academy girls age out? I'm
I don't
not
know.
seeing the full-on
Yeah.
development
Yeah.
behind them. Now, part of that is because the Bonmati, the Putellas, all those players are still like really darn good. So,
And let's
but
take a look
I
at
have,
their federation and how much they support them and
yeah,
how well they treat them.
yeah.
So,
Oh, we're going down that road. Let's do it. That's my thing. I agree.
Yeah.
Barcelona has been very good for the women's
Yes,
game.
absolutely.
They have revolutionized in the sense just that what they do on the men's side,
Mm-hmm.
focus on academy development and all
Mm-hmm.
that, they have done it with the women. And I love that.
I do too.
Don't get me wrong. Don't tell me that somehow Spanish football is better for this, because they're not.
Yeah.
Name another club. Real Madrid does not count because they have
And Real
buku
Madrid
money.
on the women's team
Yeah.
on the women's side is actually kind of a tragic story. They can't keep
Yeah.
anyone there. They can't win. They've lost to Barcelona 23
They refuse to let them play in the
times.
Bernabeu.
Yeah,
Like
no,
all these
like
annoying things. Yeah, no.
Spanish women's soccer, I have huge beef with the federation.
Correct.
And the like even the leagues, like the club side, I have big beef with them as well. So no, like back your players. You legitimately could have a pipeline to like the best team in the world for a really long time, and you're blowing it.
And especially in Spain, where you see this on the men's side, where they do have great academy products. You look at the Basque Country teams that produce a lot of great talent. You look at Real Madrid, not maybe the best academy, but always has one or two that are great academy players. And you just look what they do on the men's side in terms of collecting, they're like Thanos, they collect all the, the Infinity Stones, and they, that's how they win. And Barcelona has always done this for the most part. We're going to build through the academy and supplement with great players. And that's what they've been able to do on the women's side. And I think that is a great thing to show. But none of the rest of the country has really done anything about it. Whereas you look at England, where Arsenal for the longest time was the only club that kind of took women's football any sort of seriously. Chelsea said, "Oh, we can do that too."
Chelsea said, "We got money."
Yeah, we're like, we got money. Let's play it. Let's spend it on another toy. And then you see the Manchester teams finally getting into it. You're seeing something from some of the other teams. I think
Brighton today announced that they're building a women's purpose-built stadium. I will plug that. I'm not a Brighton supporter, but I will plug that. That's fantastic. I'm really happy about that.
I think, and at 10,000 seats is perfect for them. I think that's like, I wish they could. Granted, the men's stadium is 30-some thousand, so I'm a little disappointed they couldn't find a way to make it work. But the investment is fine, right? They see it, and Brighton is a women's club that has. Brighton's another one that I think could potentially get up there because they have a blueprint from the men's side that they can easily copy to the women's side.
Yeah, and I
because
think
it isn't about buying the best players.
Right. No, there's something really interesting actually about Brighton that I haven't quite figured out, but it's where so many people want to send their young players on loan.
Yep.
Like they know how to develop players. Arsenal sent.
There's a style of play and a system that they're trying to play good. They're not. They're trying to play good soccer. They're not like, okay, if we win, great, but like we're going to play well.
Yep.
Sometimes it works.
And then they always, on the women's side, they always go on like a 6-week tear at the end of the season and just like blow everything up. And they're like trying to blow up the title for Man City right now. And I'm like, girls, okay, why not?
Yeah. Brighton is I'm curious because I think, again, they're on the men's side. Their goal is not to buy the biggest, bestest name.
Right.
And I think on the women's side, that makes a whole lot of sense because when you're competing against Arsenal and Chelsea and Man City and Man United, you're not going to get you're going to get a couple of good ones, but like you're not going to get the biggest stars.
Sure.
So if you can develop players on your own route and find the second tier players who are still really good.
Really good. Yeah. Squad players, like they are so important to have.
Yeah.
And then you can make a lot of money when you trade them if you do it effectively, like Liverpool didn't do with Taylor Hines, who has been lights out for Arsenal, but they lost her on a free. Anyways, but all that to say, the women's game
they made it up a little bit with Olivia Smith, but hey.
Yeah, they did make a little money there, but I wouldn't call Olivia Smith a squad player in the way that I would call Taylor Hines a squad player. I think Olivia Smith, the sky's the limit.
Anyway, my point of Barcelona is I wish more U.S. clubs would do that, right? Really, truly invest in, if you're listening, Arthur Blank here in Atlanta, truly invest in an actual academy.
Yeah.
because the thing that the U.S. has that does work against them is there is talent, and every single dang corner of this country, every corner of every state, every little city is going to could potentially have a superstar because we as a country don't really, and okay, I'm going to talk out of both sides of my mouth for a second. Don't really look down on girls playing sports. Maybe look down on women's sports as a whole, but like girls playing sports is like, yeah, why not? I'm going to put my daughter in soccer.
Yeah. Girls play
not
sports,
saying it's perfect.
Then they turn 14 and go to high school, and it's like, I don't know about all that.
Yeah, right.
But yes.
But no, like, there's not this weird thing about it.
Right.
At the early ages.
Correct. And I think there is a lot of like opportunity for the young girls here. And yeah, like we've got like Rose Lavelle from Cincinnati, Ohio. Like, sorry, that is not a place where you would expect a superstar like Rose Lavelle to come from, right? Like, I do think that's in some ways the beauty. And I think what we're realizing and don't really have an answer for is as we move away from the college system, we don't really have a different development pathway because we have relied on the college system to be the development pathway, which, still works. Look at Emma Sears. It still works.
Oh, no, and that's where I think, again, the U.S. is going to have the advantage for the longest time is because the college system allows players to develop after adulthood in ways that no other country truly has.
Correct.
But the reality is in soccer, 17, 18 years old, I'm not saying you're done after that, obviously, but by 19, if you're not on a true first team contract, it's hard for me to be convinced you're going to be a true superstar.
Yeah. I don't disagree. And I think, especially on the women's side, I think Kansas City maybe has an academy. I don't know what Portland used to have an academy, and then Olivia Moultrie went pro at 14, and I don't know what happened to that. None of the clubs I think can really claim to have this sort of academy in the way that Arsenal and Man City, it's not that kind of academy that exists here. And I think that's a place, like you said, Arthur Blank, if you're listening, is a place that could really set a club apart and be a huge area of improvement for U.S. soccer as a whole.
Yep.
And if we want to build the USLW and all of these other leagues, if we want to have multiple, then we need more development and we need more ability for the players who have the talent to develop to such a place that it's safe for them to do these things.
And that was something that annoyed me a little bit about the USL Super League.
Yeah.
Not finding that, I thought their unique selling point was, we don't have a draft, right? Yeah. That was kind of their thing when they first came in. And I'm like, okay, because you're not a true first division, but I get it. And the NWSL said, all right, well,
we don't have to have one either.
We don't have to do that either.
Nobody's going to college anymore. The people that we want aren't even going to college, so we don't really care about the draft,
because college is a scam, as us millennials have learned. I'm kidding. It's not a scam. Go to college.
It's not a scam. Kids, go to school.
But you do feel scammed.
And yes.
But it was why isn't your selling point local development, right?
Right.
I look at a lot of these clubs that in NWSL have built a training center for the women's team, specifically for the women's team. Or even Louisville that builds basically a massive, essentially that's what Atlantis is going to be. It's the same dang road.
Right.
It's just
I actually drove past it today, and I drove past it today. Yeah. All the signs are up, on the fence. They broke ground on was it yesterday, maybe even. Anyways, they're working.
It's not the same. It's again,
half
it's
a block.
two addresses.
I don't think it's actually its own city block. I actually think there might be maybe a fence in between, but it probably has a gate where you can walk through, right?
Right. And I feel that's what Louisville's is as well. And and so Kansas City is building theirs, and that's great. But training center is great. We need that. But just something that a lot of the European countries that they're not tapping into is built-in academy systems. And over here we don't have that. part of that is what makes this country so good at producing talent on the women's
Yeah.
side is you do not have to be in a pro academy.
Right.
Because any club you go to, you can find someone who can be great. But you've got to find a way to get those great girls funneled into a pro system a little bit earlier. That's all I'm saying.
Because I think, like, when you listen to like Tobin Heath and Kristen Presses of the world of the previous generation, they're like the college system was more professional than the professional system at the time in which we went to college. That is no longer the case, thank God, right? We have developed the NWSL in such a way that it is this true professional environment, so that now the college really is more like that academy. But it's right, it's only like 4 years at the most. Not everybody's doing that. But how are we developing those players who, at 19 are probably ready to go into this professional system and maybe not the college system or whatever? And how do we keep them here and not ship them all off to France and England and I would say Spain, but I don't think they're actually going there. But
yeah, it seems like I wouldn't mind us sending a couple to Bayern or Wolfsburg, but the Frauen Bundesliga is a whole nother mess of itself.
Sure.
Anyway, let's get back to this window and wrap things up real quickly. Who do you think? I love the stock up, stock down. So which player here had their stock rise the most?
Okay, I'm gonna go rogue here because I feel like this is like the optics person whose stock rose the most that I don't think people are talking about enough, and I think it's Lindsay Heaps. She is back.
Oh, okay.
She took her spot back and she said, I am here and I am the captain of this team.
Yeah.
Like, what are you guys talking about? Emma and I know what's going on here. Y'all need to calm down. So from that sense, I think her stock for me shot up. I don't think there are still questions about whether or not she is in our desired starting 11. For me, it's obvious. And then I would say Giselle Thompson is the other person for me. Those two,
I think it's hard to argue. My person would be Claire Hutton.
Yeah.
I do think starting that second game was a pretty clear sign to me that Emma values her.
Yep.
But I think when you talk about like actual position battles, I think Giselle took that left back battle and said, well, I'm the left back now.
Yep. And I think it was really unfortunate for Lily Reel that the goal happened the way that it did, because theoretically it was like her fault. Again, calamity of errors. I think that led to that. She was the final one. Anyways, I think she's still great.
She was the final of the 4 or 5 people who made it.
Right, exactly. But like, she's the one who was defending the actual shot right, like whatever. Yeah. And I think I would argue Claudia Dickey as well. Yeah. I think those are kind of my like 4. Because I agree with Claire Hutton. I think those 4 kind of, for me, I'm like, okay, all right, I see what you're doing here.
I think for Dickey, June will be a good tell.
Yeah.
I don't think that trying to guess what Emma's going to do is probably not the best, but from what I have been able to glean from her, I don't think she's going to start the same goalkeeper for both matches down there.
I don't either.
So again, I think it's like, okay, can you do it again? Can you be the best goalkeeper in camp again? Because if you do it 2 times in a row, we only have a couple more matches until
we have like 5 windows.
5
windows until the World Cup itself. World Cup qualifying is what, November? So only a couple. Yeah.
Well, allegedly, Bridget, they haven't put anything out from CONCACAF giving us a date or location. They very gladly showed off the final 8, and the U.S. will play El Salvador. That's official now, but we still don't know where or when.
Because why would we need that information?
I mean, to be fair, they do this with the Gold Cup, where I'm like, "Hey, where's the Gold Cup happening in June?" And like April, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, here it is." And
like, by the way, got it.
Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah, so I'm used to it from CONCACAF. I just wish they would like.
If you want people to go, you have to tell them where it is.
Do you want where? I think I've said this. I think it should be in Orlando and Miami, because I think South Florida would make the most sense. You have weather that won't be terrible in November. Right. People will probably be able to attend, especially the U.S. matches. Yeah. You can play. Miami has a brand new stadium, which, by the way, other piece of news, will be Miami is the host for the next year's women's. Club
Champions Cup. Women's
Champions Cup. Thank you. Sorry. Not Club World Cup.
No, because there's only 6 teams involved for the women, because why would we need more than that?
Champions Cup. Yeah. But love that for me personally.
I do.
So
I love it. I'm really excited about
that. Yeah. So as we look forward to that, I think, yes, we have the fall window. We have June window in Brazil. 2 games in Brazil against Brazil. Shocker. The fall window.
I love that we're traveling to Brazil. I think it's so important for us to be getting outside of the U.S., going to hostile environments. Yeah. Brazil will be a hostile environment.
Yeah.
And I think it's so smart to get the data of how the players' bodies react, how the
in
flight
June,
is.
In Brazil, 100%. 100%.
They are so smart. Yeah. This is brilliant. Brazil, this was a bad choice. You should have said no. You should have said you can come in February. Like, that's what you should have said.
I do think some of this was a little pushed by, obviously, the Men's World Cup is happening in June, and
they're like, we've got too much.
Are playing. Yeah, like which for the first time I'm like, yeah, U.S. soccer, I kind of agree with, like, not trying too hard, like, just
right.
But like setting the women on an actual road match. This is something we complain about with the men not having World Cup qualifying this cycle. Something I always complain about the women is, like, if you don't play in a hostile environment,
you're not used to it.
What are you learning?
Yeah. And I think, and I was gonna say, because European teams are still, the June ends their first, it's like ends the group stage of the World Cup qualifying. So none of them are available yet either. So I think going to Brazil at the time of year in which you're hoping to be there the following year, playing for a World Cup is brilliant. I think they'll get a lot of really great data to help set up really well for, hopefully, assuming that we beat El Salvador, the U.S. women's national team in Brazil in 27.
Yeah, so that again, that's what matters truly, is sometime at the end of November we'll play El Salvador in a location of some kind, probably in North America. I'm not going to say that's a guarantee, but probably in North America. Look, let's be blunt. Like, that doesn't match the U.S. I'm not going to say will, because it's still soccer, but, like, you should win that match 100 times out of 100.
Right.
And you feel good, like, good for El Salvador. Love that. They'll have an opportunity to qualify for tournaments after, even if they get eliminated. That's fine.
Right.
But all you got to do is win that one. And that's all that matters. Because also the other thing is you're hosting the Olympics, so not that qualification really matters. Like, you want to go win the tournament, but, like, doesn't really matter.
But Canada's not part of it, right? Is it just Mexico in the U.S.? Wait, no. I'm getting the Men's World Cup and the...
You're getting the next World Cup a little...
And yes. So LA is hosting the Olympics, so it's just us. Because I was like, hold on, how many teams automatically go into the Olympics? Because that pool is small.
Just us.
I was confusing the world.
But they did expand it.
Yes.
We're now at 16 teams for the women, because that's a real tournament, versus the men, which is now 12 because they're a U23 tournament. So that is a plus. I think we get 3 qualifiers total, as opposed to we had 2 last time. So that's good.
So does Europe only get 1 more? They're going to be so mad.
They don't deserve it. Go win. Go win. What?
Just wondering.
I think the reason we get a total of 3, though, I'm not, because we get the one for hosting.
Yeah, I think the host always gets 1, and then your federation.
Maybe we have 2.5.
Yeah, I don't know.
I haven't looked. Sorry, this is bad podcasting. I haven't fully looked at it.
That's okay.
We're qualified for the Olympics anyway. That's why I haven't looked at it.
Because we're there. We'll be there.
I feel so good about this team now.
Yeah.
Not just for winning the qualification tournament, which is still the goal, but again, we are a year and 3 months away from a World Cup, and I look at this team and go, okay, maybe not like right now, because I think saying any team can win a World Cup right now, or can win the World Cup right now, is foolish. But, like, I'm looking at them and going, like, yeah, I like our chances. I might have to make sure I'm booked a little bit longer in Brazil.
I know. I was like only going to go for the group stage. I'm like, well, I don't feel like that's a good choice.
Yeah. might have to stay a little longer.
Right. That trip, we're gonna have to see about what we're doing there. But I'm planning to go, and I'm planning to love every minute of it.
Yes. We will probably hang out a little bit there. Thank you though for thank you for hanging out with me via a digital medium to talk about this U.S. women's camp, a series win against Japan, because you get so many of those in soccer.
Well, thank you so much for having me. This was so fun.
Make sure you follow her, everyone, and the Our Home Ground podcast, which you can find on Instagram and all those good places. And, you know, if you're listening to the podcast here, you can find Our Home Ground on this podcatcher as well, I would bet. Thanks, everyone, for listening. I'm Bart.